Hey guys, welcome to part 2 in the basic and hardcore program here at kolpintraining.com. We're back at Pure Muscle and Fitness, about to show you the best way to hit your chest, shoulders, and tris. Let's do it. So our first exercise today, going into it, whenever I'm doing chest and shoulders together, I like to make sure that my delts are properly warmed up so that when I go to hit my chest, I can lift as heavy as possible and really amplify those contractions that I'm getting in the muscle tissue. What we're gonna do here is one hell of a deadly set. We're gonna be doing ascending and descending sets. So what's gonna happen is I'm gonna pick a weight here, I'm gonna start at that weight, and I'm gonna start doing 8 reps. And I'm gonna climb up by 5, 8 reps, climb up by 5, 8 reps, climb up by 5, and then keep going until I absolutely can't get 6 out of that set. Then I'm gonna start doing 6 reps and come all the way back down to the starting weight. Could be as many as 20 sets, I don't know, let's find out. Okay, the weight we're gonna start with is 20-pound dumbbell. We're gonna get up, get a nice squeeze, try to keep our arms as stiff as possible until we get into a bigger overload. Lifting up for about a 1 second with a 1 second pause at the top. And if we can, really forcing that 2-second negative in every single rep. All right, now back down. Alrighty, now that our delts have a nice big pump to them, we're gonna come over here and warm up our chest as well. We're gonna do that on a seated machine fly. Setting the weight at a weight that'll be decent enough to get you about 30 reps. You're gonna make sure that when you're coming wide, you're really popping that sternum. That sternum is gonna be an important part of the contraction of the chest. So we're gonna make sure that we're up. We're gonna come to a width that doesn't really hyper engage the back of the shoulders to then re-engage the chest. We wanna make sure that the chest is staying our primary focus point. So when we come out, we're getting that stretch without leaving the chest, staying contracted, and then we're really gonna pop that chest up as we start to force. So it's gonna look like this to get us that maximum engagement of tissue in the chest. And then coming forward with the squeeze, notice I'm not too quick, because I don't want to leave contraction. So I'm here, I've popped, I'm squeezing, and I'm flexing with my hands together, really trying to crush a walnut between each one of my tits. We're gonna add a little counter pressure. What do I mean by that? I mean, as you're coming down, you're still kind of pushing together. So pushing together as you feel that stretch point, and that's really gonna hyper engage the chest as well. So trick here, 1 set, 30 reps, get as much blood in there as possible so we look round, full, and we're able to perform when we go on to our next exercise on the other side of the gym. Common mistake here, people tend to elevate their shoulders. We want to keep them depressed. And then when we hit that failure point, we're just gonna pump some extra blood into that chest. And then we're gonna pop up, ready to explore our first exercise of the day. First exercise on the day is gonna be an incline Smith machine press. I chose this exercise because I find when I go with barbell, I tend to lose a bit of the contraction through the eccentric and again through the concentric portion of the exercise. Remember, at all points in times, it's that tension that's going to grow our muscle tissues when that's combined with a progressive overload. So we want to be progressing with weight, but not to the point where we're losing too much of the form, right? Sacrificing form, again, is basically like bluntly sacrificing muscle gain. So you want to try and stray away from that as much as possible, especially when the goal is to build your physique. Now, that being said, if your goal is to build strength, omit that altogether, lift that bugger. But if your goal is to build that kind of physique, then it's kind of imperative that you're always focused on the squeeze. You'll notice the bench here is at a small incline. I get a lot of questions about this. Why not a high incline? Well, the answer is pretty simple here. If we put the incline up too high, we're going to be utilizing the shoulders through this exercise a little bit more than we'd like to. So always remember that when it comes to a decline or comes to an incline, you want a small change in that bench position because it's going to render the biggest change to you. As well, it's not going to put a lot of tension on the rotator cuff when you're going through those exercises. When we're doing this press, we're going to make sure that our hands are pushing together as we're going down, but also pushing together as we press. In a way, it's almost bringing a bit of a fly motion into the press while we're operating. Inhaling as we're going down. You notice I'm going to stop about a fist distance from my chest. Again, the reason I do that is so the rotator cuff's not taking too much tension. It allows me to keep at a reasonable weight. And from that point, I'm going to make sure chest is elevated again, sternum's popped, and I'm pressing directly through while pushing my hands together. That press portion is going to be a little dynamic, and the eccentric portion we're going to do super slow for the load. Popped up nice and high. We're coming to that pause point. I'm feeling, engaging the chest from my elbows and pressing from my elbows, squeezing the chest as hard as I can. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1. That press point's gonna look a lot smoother when the weight gets a little heavier. What's happening now is I'm pressing, but the bar is shooting out of my hand. Almost like it's exploding up. On to the next. Now, I'm not saying Timbits are the perfect fuel mid-workout. Beats the hell out of greens. Secondly, for the chest, we're gonna be doing a flat dumbbell press. First one's our warm-up. We're gonna be looking for about 15 to 20 reps. Same kind of form, right? Down nice and slow, coming up and squeezing, pressing together and all that fun jazz. We are going to make sure that our grip is generated from the ring and pinky finger down for about a 3 to 5 second negative, really engaging that chest, depressing the shoulders, and driving up using the elbows, squeezing the chest. You're going to grab the 60s here for about 20, and then we're going to work up to our 2 working sets, maybe in and around 100 pounds, 8 to 10 reps each. Okay, now we're moving into the shoulder portion of today's push workout. What we're going to start with here is a Viking press. It allows me to do a 2-arm press, but really ultimately isolate each arm separately. We're going to be doing this from both a wide and a close grip, starting first with the wide, 1 warm-up, the 2 working sets, and then to the close for 2 working sets. We're doing these banded today, add a little extra resistance as we get higher in the push. So as we're coming up, be it whichever way, it's going to get a little harder as we get up to the top. And we're gonna have that counter resistance as we come down through the eccentric. This is gonna be done at a 1 to 2 second eccentric, quick explosion, little pause at the top. Why do I ask for a little pause? Well, a lot of people like to stop this particular exercise about 3/4 of the way, but ultimately you wanna get all the way, and you really wanna force that elbow to push in when you make it to the peak to get a full contraction on the anterior delt, which is the front deltoid. Building that up is bar none the best thing to developing big, full, round, impactful shoulders. So you want to make sure that the press is always a part of your workouts in one way or another, be it from machine here, standing, seated, dumbbells, or my personal favorite, although not in today's workout, a standing barbell press. Okay, next up for delts, we're going to be doing a rear delt machine fly. I'm going to try and keep our elbows as far away from our body as we possibly can. We're not going to come all the way together. We're actually going to stop just outside shoulder width and remain in contraction. Remember at the start of the video I was talking about your chest being here so that we're not engaging your shoulders too much. Now with this, we don't want to be engaging your traps and your lats. So we're into this point, coming back to full extension, getting a real nice squeeze on the rear deltoid, holding it for as long as we can, and then a slow eccentric coming forward. We do 1 set here for about 15 to 20, and then 2 big sets for 8 with drop sets for about 15 to 20, really pumping till we hit that failure point. Okay, now that our chest is fried, our delts are totaled, we're gonna move on to our triceps in the last portion of our push day here in the basic and hardcore program. First exercise we're gonna do is a seated tricep dip. Now, this dip machine here is the one I've chosen. You can see there are 2 others here. Okay, you can use either one of those as well, but this is the one we're gonna use today, the Atlantis press. And I hop in here, but I'm gonna scooch my butt as far forward as I possibly can. And instead of grabbing from a grip where my hands are over facing, I'm gonna turn them to the side and drive them back so that I'm really optimizing the tension that's coming on the medial head of the tricep. So from here, shoulders are back, elbows are drawn back. I'm gonna push down and I'm gonna squeeze with my triceps as hard as I can, really flexing. So if you can get it in your head, for any of you guys that can compete, what you wanna do is have an extension of the tricep, almost as if you're posing, and really squeezing and flexing and trying to mimic that on-stage presence while you're here doing that exercise. Inhale as you're coming up through the stretch, but much like when we were doing the chest fly, you are gonna add that counter tension, almost as if you're pushing down as the weight is coming up, but you are allowing the weight to come up. Once it's reached that point, drop your shoulders, keep them depressed, engage the triceps by tightening your grip and squeezing the tris, and then drive down. We don't want to push down too quickly because we'll lose the contraction and put too much tension on the elbow. So you want to make sure that at least that first inch, inch and a half is done slowly so that we can optimize how much tissue we're properly engaging while we go through the range of motion here for this exercise. First set's going to be 20 reps, and again, just like everything else, 2 sets, 8 reps each after the fact. Those are going to be our working sets. Then we move on to our next exercise. Okay, last for tris, we're gonna be 2-hand dumbbell overhead extension. Basically a skull caver with a prone grip, full extension, and a tilt, squeezing and flexing the triceps. We're gonna grab 2 dumbbells, put myself on a bench much like this, and also we'll use a flat bench on a high incline. Sit your butt up a little high. We're gonna come up with our elbows, keeping our shoulders depressed, dropping behind our head, coming to full extension with that tilt at the end, really squeezing and flexing the triceps. We go in for about a 3-second negative, focused on the triceps guiding the weight, and then a 1 second out, 1 second squeeze, and back down into that 3-second eccentric. We'll be doing our warm-up set here for about 15 reps, and then 2 working sets for 8 at a heavy weight, and that's gonna cap off today's push day, guys. All right, guys, that's been push day in the basic and hardcore program here with Kyle Kolpin at kolpintraining.com. We're here at Pure Muscle and Fitness. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and leave some comments below telling me what you want to see in these future videos. Thank you very much, guys. Have a good day. Train hard.